What's up, music fans of the internet? I'm Kevin.
I'm Derek.
And together we are last week's album, Two Opinions on the Best New Music. And in this episode, we're talking about an album called The Deslondes by a band called The Deslondes, and asking the question, are these roots country revivalists doing anything new with old sounds? But before we get into all that, we'll start things off like we always do, drinking a beer. Cheers, Derek, and everyone at home.
Cheers, Kevin, everyone at home.
And a little bit about the Deslondes. They are a New Orleans-based quintet, formerly called Tumbleweeds. There were too many other bands with that name. So they opted for this one, which actually comes from the street in the Holy Cross neighborhood of New Orleans, Lower 9th Ward, where the band actually formed. They describe themselves as country-meets-Southern-R&B hybrid, which I think is pretty accurate. Members have also been in other bands like the Longtime Goners and most notably Hooray for the Riff Raff, where they've now sort of started their own thing. And they're a very collaborative band. I thought this was really interesting. Everyone sort of sings and writes and takes the lead in general on different songs. And so yeah, very, very democratic of the Deslondes. And let's talk about what the album sounds like. Derek, what do you think?
Kevin, I think the Deslondes sound like the Avett Brothers, Old Crow Medicine Show, and JD McPherson got drunk in New Orleans and performed together somewhere on Frenchman Street.
Nice. Yeah, those last two you mentioned definitely popped into my head as I listened. I'm going to say this sounds like a musical gumbo of Hank Williams, George Jones, and Fats Domino.
Yes, I like it. I like it.
Thanks, man. And with that, let's talk about some key tracks. What are you going with, Derek?
I'm going with Out on the Rise, number 12.
Okay. I'm going with number 6, The Real Deal. But why don't you go ahead and kick things off for us anyway?
Will do. This one starts off and really features a bluesy old-timey piano, a soft percussion and bass. Group vocals enter over the chorus, which really kind of add to this barroom vibe. There's a weeping lap guitar that joins in the second verse, a clarinet solo following the second chorus, and a horn section provides a response to the vocal melody, playing the role of the call there in the third verse. And overall, I really thought it had a bit of everything, kind of like a gumbo, as you kind of alluded to earlier. I just really liked it, just encompassed a lot of different classic sounds and really brought them together in a pleasing melody. Overall, the lyrics were kind of drawing the comparison between wearing out one's welcome in town to a bar closing or knowing when to get out. Example, I'm a hardworking man, but ain't got a thing because I can't keep a job that won't let me sing. I rub my eyes and then see another day. Then how come all my closest friends are sitting far away? I just really liked it. Great way to close out an album.
Nice. Yeah, that was a good one. I'm going to go about halfway back on the album, though, with track number 6, The Real Deal. It's got this really cool 50s rock and roll guitar line, some group vocals, really bouncy piano, acoustic strumming, jumpy drums, and thumping stand-up bass, which is something you don't see too often these days. But beneath the song's upbeat sound lies this sort of tough tale of a woman who wouldn't tell her man that things weren't working, and all he wants is the honest truth, the real deal, if you will. There's a good line. He says, "Words you should have written in those letters that you wrote, telling me that everything was fine. I'd have given both my legs and what's left of my heart just for the real deal this time." Overall, just a great mix of rock and roll and R&B, with a little Cajun country swing to it. And just one of those tracks that I really couldn't not tap my foot to. So definitely check out those tracks. And with that, let's talk about some best lyrics. Derek?
I'm taking one from the track Heavenly Home, and he says, "Like a train, I was made to roll. Like an old dog, I walked in stray. Though all my days have seemed to stall, I saw the light and I walked away." Just really kind of good imagery here, very relatable, which I thought was very common in all the songs, regardless of the songwriter. Yeah, just a lot of good ones. Pick one from here, though, I thought.
Yeah, I've got one from Still Someone, and it's pretty short, with just one-liner. He says, "I heard her heartbeat just like a gunshot." As you mentioned, Derek, I really like the imagery there, and I love that it's both sort of visually and audibly sensory, which is kind of interesting, and such a concise yet still very dramatic line. So digging those. And with that, let's talk about overall rating and answer the big question, Derek. Are these roots country revivalists doing anything new with all these old sounds?
I'm going to start by answering the question with a yes and no. Yes, in that they're combining lots of familiar sounds in new ways. I thought Heavenly Home, which I just described a lyric from, is a great example of this. The verses feature, this haunting piano chords and bass line, which I thought was very R&B inspired, especially with the vocal melody, and then launches into this 50s rock style instrumental break, which features a harmonica solo. So lots of different things. So no, in that there's nothing new, but yes, in the way of how it's all fitting together, which I thought was great. Good things. I really thought the variety of singers and songwriters really helped provide a variety of sounds, or at least approach throughout the album, at least combining different sounds, if not, there were common instrumentation throughout. Bad, maybe lots of singers-songwriters, too many cooks in the kitchen, maybe too much material. I think these are questions that have to be answered later on, but overall, I thought it was great for the debut. So that's why I'm giving it an overall rating of 4. Really dug this one. Really grew on me the more I listened to it.
Nice. We are going to agree on pretty much all points, Derek. To answer the big question, are they doing anything new with these old sounds? I think you hit the nail on the head. There are no new sounds, but the arrangement and the way they're combining old sounds is really what makes it sort of interesting and different. And to me, it's kind of refreshing when a band doesn't try to modernize old sounds. I think you can hear that a lot. And it's nice that these guys just take from all different decades and mash them together in new and interesting ways. And as you mentioned, great variety with all the different sort of songwriters and singers and styles. I think they also know their stuff really well too. They create very intentional soundscapes that really harken back to different classics from yesteryear. And I don't think there's a bad song on the album. Overall, though, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5, just as you did, Derek. The only reason I couldn't give it a 5 is because I think you can still hear and feel that they're still gelling together as a band. It feels like that guy wrote that song and this guy wrote this song and another guy, you can kind of feel that and hear it. And that's all well and good, especially on, I guess we'll call it their debut. They released a previous album as Tumbleweeds, but this is sort of their debut as the Deslondes, and I think with their current lineup. So anyway, there you go. 2 4 out of 5s make 1 8 out of 10. So you should definitely check this one out, The Deslondes by The Deslondes, and let us know what you guys think. And don't forget to subscribe to us here at last week's album, 2 opinions on the best new music. And as always, I'm Kevin.
I'm Derek.
Cheers, guys. See you next time.